speaking event, we have two speakers for you to talk about the construction trades. Ms. Silvera, your media specialist, as well as Ms. Stacey Holsinger with Steel Toe Communications. And you're going to learn a lot about different ways to work in the construction business. So thank you, and please give a round of applause to Ms. Silvera, our first speaker.
Thank you, friends. Thank you. All right. Good morning. Happy Monday. Good morning. Thank you. All right. So you're going to learn a little bit about me today, right? And you're going to learn a little bit about how I kind of got here. And you're thinking, wait, Ms. Silvera, this is about the trades. This is about construction. What does that have to do with you being right here? And I'm going to tell you, okay? So I'm going to leave you a little bit of information about my journey. All right. So I am from New York City. I was born in the island of Jamaica, and I came to New York when I was a little thing. So I grew up in New York City. When I was a young mom, I needed to find a way to support myself and my children. I had a set of twins at a fairly young age, but I was adult and I was like trying to figure it all out. And I was like, well, what do I do? Right? A retail job wasn't going to cut it. Right? I just couldn't figure it out. So I had a friend who said, listen, I know of this program. It's called NEW, Non-Traditional Employment for Women. And I was like, what's that about? You can become a construction worker. You can get a job as an electrician, plumber, HVAC. And I was like, well, why would I want to do all that? She's like, have you seen the salaries for those jobs? Right? I was like, oh, yeah. And also, I went to this program. I was in the program for 5 months, and I became an apprentice construction person. I got into a union and the whole nine, right? I loved it because it helped me become really confident about my skills, right? And I also was able to support myself and my twins on that salary, right? I was able to take jobs I wanted, and I only had to work maybe 4 or 5 days, maybe 4 days out of the week. And then I went to school and I got my degree. All the while, I put myself through school by being a construction worker. I helped build the Bronx Courthouse, and I worked at the Jacob Javits Convention Center, which I really loved. I got to build sets. I got to do lots of different things, right? So that confidence and that training that I got from being in the construction, it helped me become a really good student in college. And I was able to go all the way up to my master's, and then I became a librarian, which is what I've always wanted to do. So when I tell you about my story, it's because I want you all to understand that there are lots of ways to make your dream come true, to get the career that you want. I always tell everyone, what is the one thing you would do that you would do for free every day? If you can make that into your job, you're set for life. I do something that I love. I come here, I get to work with students, I get to talk about books, I get to buy books. This is the job for me. This is a job I would do for free. This is the job I'm going to do after I retire. This is the job for me. That's what you want. Imagine getting up every day and being excited about being at the job that you love, right? And so I started off in a place where I was like, well, it gets me what I need, and that's what I did. I started off in construction, and I ended up where I always wanted to be. So getting the job that you need, the career, the training, it's not always about where you start, but it's about where you end. And if you get that goal in mind, you will be able to make it happen, right? Because that's really what we want. We want to make our dreams come true. All right. So thank you. We're going to have questions later, but I just want to share you my experience with the construction trade and how it helped me get the job and career that I've always wanted. Thank you. All right.
Hi guys, thanks for having me. I'm just curious, show of hands, who is considering a trade career, a career in the trades? What are you considering? Okay. And what about you? You had your hand up?
Honestly, I don't know. I think I
Okay. Do you have what do you think, carpentry or I
don't know.
you're just not sure yet? Okay,
It's probably carpenter. That's like wood, right?
yeah. What were you thinking? Construction. Do you know what trade? Project management?
Nice.
Did anyone else raise their hand in here? Okay. So I'll talk a little bit about my journey, and then we'll talk a little bit about the construction industry. But so I went to school at Temple University in Philadelphia, and I switched my major 4 times because I was very confused on what I wanted to do. Not recommended. When you're in high school, I think it's really important that you set some time to meet with your career counselor and take those tests. Try to line up some internships, because when you are headed down one direction, you might think it's for you, but once you're at the job doing an internship, you might figure out this is not what I want to do at all. In the construction industry, almost all of our internships are paid internships, which is really cool. So instead of getting that retail job or the pizza job, delivery job, or an Uber job or something like that, you might want to consider working for a contractor because they pay really well. And I know if you're undecided about the trades, there's something called a pre-apprenticeship program. They're all different, but usually it's an 8-week program. What they're looking for skill-wise is math skills, so decimals, fractions, measurements. So if you're good at math, that's something that you might want to pursue. In the pre-apprenticeship program, you get introduced to pretty much most of the trades. There's about 22 trades to choose from. So we got HVAC, plumbing, carpentry, underwater welding. You can weld in a fabrication shop, or you can weld on the job site. Masonry, bricklaying. What else am I missing? There's a lot of different avenues to go from to choose, but usually you start around the $20 an hour range. And then once you get into an apprenticeship program, you get a raise every year, which is really cool. And then some companies, when you graduate from your apprenticeship program, you get a big bonus. And then if you go for your journeyman's, you get another bonus. And then masters, same thing. And then if you have a master's license, you can own your own company. And right now in the construction industry, we're 500,000 workers short. That's a major problem, which means there's so many jobs in demand. So if you don't go the college route and you go the construction route, you're guaranteed, you're secure with a job. And then you have some skills that you can bring it home to your house, you know, fix your plumbing, and you don't have to pay that large bill because it's really hefty. So what else can I tell you? So there's residential construction and commercial construction. So residential is the homes, you know, fixing and building homes. It's on the easier side because you're usually working in the same type of model. The turnaround's a lot quicker. The commercial side of things, you're working on really cool buildings. Sometimes you need a high security clearance if you're doing any government work. But you're building schools like this, hospitals, museums, data centers, really cool community buildings that you're a big part of. And you'll be on the projects anywhere from 1 to 3 years. You talked about project management. Project management is a great job that pays really well too. You would have to go to community college for at least 2 years to get a project management degree, which is a great inexpensive way to go, and you can start making money right away. In the construction industry, you can, like I said, get an internship, get paid internship, choose commercial or residential depending on what interests you. If you like complex solving problems, you know, you might want to go the commercial route. A lot of people get into the construction industry because there's no student loan debt. So most people that enter the trades, you can buy a house in your early 20s. How amazing is that? You know, when I got into marketing with my degree at Temple University, I was working for a civil engineering firm, and I decided to work with them, and they were helping me pay for my degree, which was super cool. And then when I went to work with, it's Shapiro and Duncan, I don't know if you guys saw their vans. It's a large HVAC company. they paid for my master's degree. And I worked with them for 14 years. I ran their marketing department. I did all their social media and websites, brochures, recruitment, that kind of thing. And then I started my own firm called Steel Toe Communications. It's a digital marketing firm that works only with construction trades companies. So that's pretty much where I've landed. Do you want to open it up for questions now?
Sure, sure. I also wanted to add a little bit about, and we talked about this in my last session. I don't have any student debt. And the student debt that I did have was really small. Can you imagine coming out of college? I have a master's degree. I have 3 degrees. I have an associate's degree, I have a bachelor's degree, and I have a master's degree. Each one of those degrees was about 90% paid for by my employee. My construction jobs paid for my first 2 years, right? My bachelor's was paid for by MCPS, about 80 to 90%, 80%, and then my master's was paid 100% by MCPS. Okay, so getting a position in a company that has tuition reimbursement can be an amazing way to get your degree without having to be in somebody else's pocket for the next 20 years. So think deep about what you want to do, right? Because it can make such a difference in the amount of money you end up owing to the government or what for your education. Yes, ma'am. It does not come out of my paycheck. So for my undergrad, I was in a program where they paid the majority of my tuition because I went to Towson. It was a specific program that MCPS has available for all its supporting services employees, right? There are other programs for teachers as well, but so my undergrad was paid for by MCPS, okay? I was a paraeducator, and then I went to school at the same time. My master's was the same thing. It was I have a master's from Towson and an undergrad from Towson, okay? It was the same program, a different program, but same school. I went to school at the University of Shady Grove, which is 15 minutes from where I lived. I didn't have to travel anywhere, right? I was like literally right there. So when I tell you that there are ways, because I really don't want you guys to like end up in debt for the rest of your life, right? Or having like a huge debt. So I specifically picked MCPS because I knew they had programs like this when I came from New York. So I literally sought companies that I knew would help me pay for my education. Okay, so that's one way to, and no, it did not come out of my check. It was a program that I applied for and I qualified for and I got into. So it could like the master's program was a little competitive, and I got in it and it was amazing. And that's how I got to be a librarian, because I needed a master's to be a school librarian.
So to piggyback off your great question, so if you're going to make a list of any companies you want to go work for, go to their careers page and see if they offer tuition reimbursement.
Yes.
So they do pay for it, but how they lock you in is you have to at least stay with the company 1 year after you graduate, or 1 year to your last class, or you have to pay it back to the company. So that's kind of how, but so when I worked at Shapiro and Duncan, I got my master's through them. And then when I graduated, like I couldn't go off and work for someone else for at least a year, or I would have to start paying back the loans.
Yeah. MCPS used to do that. They don't do that anymore. They do ask you for at least 1 year afterwards, but I don't think they would ask you to pay it back. I'm not 100% sure, but trust me, you want that year of experience before you move on anywhere else, right? You want that year so you can have that do we have any questions? We'd love to share some information. Anyone have questions? Yes, for either one of us.
So each trade has a different program. I think like drywall carpentry, I think is 2 years. The more complex trades are a 4-year program, but it's an apprenticeship program and it's paid. So a employer sponsors you. So you're earning while you learn is what they call it.
Yeah.
So you're making really good money. Then there's also union or merit shop. So there's a couple things that you have to choose. Like number one is you have to choose the trade that you want. There's a list of 22. Buildyourfuture.org has a quiz that you guys can take to try to figure out what skills match which trade. So once you pick the trade, then you want to go find an employer in the area and tell them, look, I'm interested in HVAC. I'd love to come work for your company. They'll interview you and all that. And if you're good to go, they'll sponsor you. They'll pay for you to attend that 4-year apprenticeship program. You also get a mentor too. So you're out on the job site and you have an industry. So you're not just like thrown out.
Right.
Like someone's working with you every day for 4 years. So that's a great benefit too.
And I know Montgomery College has some trade programs that are readily available there, and I absolutely love Montgomery College. It's such a great stepping stone. It's less expensive, but the education is amazing. So if you're thinking about the trades or anything, I would definitely look at Montgomery College. Yes, I think you had your hand up. Yes, sir. No, there's still programs available right now, and like you mentioned earlier, we really need tradespeople of all different levels. So I really think that if you were to go into the trades, even if it was just temporary, you're going to work. You're going to work. You're going to get paid internships, and you're going to get jobs because they need you guys, especially for construction, right? We're building Crown. We're building all over. Yes.
So I don't know them offhand, and it does depend on the location.
Right.
I did start a channel on TikTok and Instagram called chat_CTE for career technical education. And we're going out and interviewing construction trade professionals and asking them how much they make and what benefits they get, because it varies between each company. So you guys could check out that channel and get a lot of information there. Yeah.
I mean, like here's an example. When I started construction in New York City, when I worked at Jacob Javits Center, I started off at $27.50 an hour. And then when I started on a site in the Bronx, I was doing the Bronx courthouse, I was $32 an hour. And that was a while back, but I don't know how much or less it's happened, but that's like a general area. But I also had some certification. I was part of a union. So there was a lot of that stuff kind of upping my my rate of pay. So you definitely do have to find out. When I first moved here, there's the people who put pipes in buildings, they have their own union. They're looking for people. So honestly, if you do a quick search on Google, and we're going to share this information with you guys, it'll be on my website. It'll also be in the MoCo CAP website so that you guys can go to. You can see that there's lots of different options available right now, right? And like I said, there's even schools that have trade programs to start you off with. Okay, so and the way, like the answer to your question, how far you want to take it kind of depends on how much education you want from it. Do you want your hands-on? Do you want your master's, because that you can own your own business and things like that. So it really kind of depends on, as you go on, how far you want to take it, I would say, about education.
Yeah, and why the jobs are so plentiful right now is because they used to have shop classes back in the 60s and 70s, and they removed all those courses, unfortunately, and started pushing college for all. So it's really unfortunate. We say it's the best kept secret because you can make a really good career out of the trades. Now, you could also get your journeyman masters. You could start your own business. Or if you don't feel like doing construction work anymore, you can go into the office. Yeah. You can be a project manager, which oversees the materials, the equipment, the project schedule, making sure that you're on budget, the project's on time, that kind of thing. You can be an engineer. My husband does something called building information modeling. Does anyone know what that is here? Do you know what CAD is? Nobody knows what CAD is? Computer aided software or design? Okay. So it's pretty, if you like gaming, you're in a 3D model. So you get the drawings, 2D drawings, then you scan them into the 3D model. It's called Revit or fabrication software. And you're building, like, just say this whole school system in a 3D model. Right. So then you take the 3D model and you send it off to the fabrication shop, and they start building the materials in big bulk assemblies. And then those big bulk assemblies get put on a big truck and right out to the job site. And then the construction workers install, what they built.
Yeah.
So it's pretty cool. Like construction has changed so much from like 20, 25 years ago.
Yeah.
So you're not breaking your back anymore. There's a lot of work where you're working inside a building on those big projects, and then the stuff gets shipped out for really easy install.
Yeah. I mean, you guys have seen, like, if you anywhere on 355, like a year and a half ago, it was a flat, deconstructed situation. And now you go over there and what do you see? Like a whole building has popped up. It's because most of those materials are prefabbed. And because back in the day that someone had to cut, they had to go to the shop and cut each piece. So they don't have to do that anymore. You literally get shipped to the site and you and you're good to go.
There's other really cool jobs in construction too, like a drone operator.
Yeah.
We have robotics now, a
Yeah.
lot of like 3D type of things. We have hard hat helmets that we're doing virtual reality now too.
Yeah.
So it's stuff that most people don't know about because, like I said, it's not taught in the school system anymore. Elevator industry is something I never thought of until I started doing this Chat CTE channel. They're the highest paid, and they're looking for carpentry skills, like basic skills. So if you go to the pre-apprenticeship program and do that 8-week boot camp or something, you can hook up with the elevator association. They pay top dollar and they're not just working on elevators. It's a bunch of other stuff, escalators and things that you wouldn't normally consider just being in the elevator industry. But yeah, it's so many, and your skills are transferable, by the way, too. So if you get your apprenticeship program here and then you want to move to California, no problem. Like there's jobs everywhere for you right now.
Yeah. That's the issue, right? The issue is like, how many options do you have? And the more options you have, the more you can use your skills in everything you do in life. It's amazing. Like imagine you have all these skills that you work with, and if something goes wrong in your home, you don't have to call someone to go and fix it, right? And even if you do, a lot of times people in the industry, and you get, there's a lot of benefits to the trades, right? But one thing is having those skills make you just so much more flexible about everything you do in life. Right? You have those skills. Having those skills are really amazing. Okay. So do we have any other questions? Any other questions? So now after this talk, who is a little bit more interested in the trades? Who's a little more interested in like maybe thinking about it? Yeah. Would you have a question?
It's called clash detection. So in the construction industry, various trades are all working together at the same time. That's why we say it's the biggest team sport. So we have your electricians, your plumbers, your HVAC. It's called MEP. So they kind of work together, but they have to figure out like everything in the ceiling, right? You have duct work, HVAC work, piping, water lines, like all this stuff that's hidden up there. They have to draw it in 3D to make sure it fits properly, because otherwise, if they're just figuring it out on the job site, you're wasting a lot of time, a lot of money, a lot of waste. So if you can figure it out on the 3D model first on how it fits, you know exactly how to cut the pipe to get it installed. So you have to be good at problem solving and good at computers, really. Mm-hmm. But you're spending most of your days, if you're doing building information modeling, on Teams calls or Zoom calls with various other trades. And that could be anywhere from 5 to 20 people. And you're looking at this big coordination model and you're working out the issues on how, like, do we have to lower the ceiling? Do we have to move something over here to fit it in? So you work as a team in a 3D model and like on a Zoom call, but that's pretty much the job. And then once you figure all that out, then you submit the model to be constructed. Does that make sense? Okay.
All right. Any other questions?
I can show you a sample of what it looks like too. Do we have YouTube? Could I pull something up?
Yeah. So I just also want you guys to know I am a MoCo CAP champion. So if you have any other questions about the trades or about different programs, because MCPS actually has a great program for soon-to-be graduates, and you can get a position in the trades and different jobs, and then they will help pay for your education. So you can start right after high school. They're literally recruiting you guys right out of high school if that's an option that you want. Okay, and like I said, college is not like out of your reach because you decide to go into the trades, right? You have lots of different ways. In fact, MCPS has an HVAC program where they hire you as an HVAC apprentice, and then they teach you the rest that you need to know. Same thing for bus driving, same thing for construction within the MCPS family, right? And they love hiring kids who graduate from MCPS. Okay, so the options that you have are just endless. All right, so just definitely think about it. And your first thing you maybe want to do is talk to your career counselor, okay? And they can kind of guide you in the directions that you want to go, or give you options about different directions you'd like to go, okay?
So this is building information modeling. So all the pipe and everything is coordinated in different colors.
No
You got
eating,
like
sweetheart.
med gas,
Yeah.
chilled water, hot
Thank
water.
you.
So these buildings are super, super complex.
Imagine building a skyscraper. That'd be really cool. I do it in The Sims, but it doesn't work that well.
And this career pays really well too.
Yeah.
There's not, if you did want to get into building information modeling, you want to start looking at Revit, Autodesk, prefabrication, and just learning the equipment. But it's mostly for mechanical trades, so HVAC. See, that's everything that's in the ceiling up here. This is a big hospital project that they did.
Hey, friends. Where's the
But Shapiro and Duncan, I used to work with for them for 14 years. They have a great YouTube channel.
Okay.
If you want to check out anything that they're working on.
Okay. So 10:30. I think we have 15 minutes. Okay.
Any other questions? I can show you their fab shop, which is really impressive too.
And also, if you go to the Quince Orchard Media Center, we have a tab for career, and there's an amazing program that MCPS pays for. It's called Peterson's Career and Test Prep. Okay, you can actually take tests to feel yourself out. Like, what do I want to do? What do I want for my future? So you can go to my website and you can get that there. If you have any questions, please come to me or my staff, and we will help you navigate it. Okay, but it's a great way to kind of get yourself prepared for your future, right? Okay.
So I'll just show this to you real quick. This is their fabrication facility. It's out in Landover. So when you think of construction, you're probably thinking of the workers out on the street fixing road work. Yes, of course there's that, but there's so many different other trades. And a lot of them have these fabrication shops. So it's climate control. You're not freezing outside working. You can do a lot of construction stuff. There's a lot of pipe fitters and welders in this video that you'll see. And I did take a welding class, a carpentry class in college. Welding was a great trade. And if you're a woman in construction, there's also associations called National Women in Construction. So you don't feel alone, because it is a male-dominated industry, but it was 9%, now we're at like 14%, so it's growing.